Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Samar Hassan. I'm the founder of Epiphany and we're back with Epiphany Talks number 9. This time around it is again focused on the gaming industry, lekin hamara focus is investment ke perspective pe se hai. So today what we are planning on discussing is investment. Is it a win-win for investors? And if yes, why and how? And we're also going to talk, interestingly enough, with a couple of founders who've actually managed to raise investment. So यूं क्योंकि सारे के सारे पाकिस्तानीज हैं आज वाले पैनल के ऊपर, तो हम उर्दू इंग्लिश मिक्स रखेंगे. लास्ट टाइम मुझे याद है कि ज्यादातर लोगों ने इंग्लिश की रिक्वेस्ट की थी, तो उर्दू की रिक्वेस्ट की थी, तो हम कोशिश करेंगे कि ज्यादा उर्दू में करें. आई डोंट नो कितने लोगों ने देखा, बट जून के बिगनिंग में एक मैसिव इन्वेस्टमेंट हुई गेमिंग इंडस्ट्री के अंदर, और $1.8 बिलियन जिंगा, जो एक gaming platform, gaming, I would call it a big gaming giant. They invested in Turkey's Peak Games for $1.8 billion. So this obviously is a very interesting development. Pakistan itself has been growing very rapidly in the gaming industry over the past few years, and we want to understand a little bit more that what does the future hold for this industry, and how can we systematically develop it. So with me today, I've got Faraz Ahmed, जो कि CEO हैं Turbo Labz की. So I'm going to let Faraz introduce himself. So there we go. Assalamu alaikum Faraz, कैसे हैं आप?
Walaikum salam, क्या हाल आपका? Thanks for inviting us for this talk. I think we're always ready to blurt out whatever we know about the industry. Always happy and willing. So my name is Faraz Ahmed. I'm the CEO of Turbo Labz, and our focus is we build social online mobile games. Our first game that's out on the market right now is called Chess Stars. It's approaching close to 1 million downloads on Apple and Android. It's played by 50,000 daily active users, and that's what we do. We're also in partnership with 47 Ventures, and I think Samar will introduce Khurram Zafar right after this.
Yep, absolutely. So thank you so much, Faraz. With us, we also have Khurram Zafar. So KZ and me, we've been, I would say now I've known you for about 6-7 years. और सबसे जो पहला एक्सपीरियंस था मेरा खुरम के साथ काम करने के लिए जी, एक फिनटेक डिस्टर्ब चैलेंज हमने किया था at Labz, actually co-organized with Karandaz. So उसमें जो था we ended up working quite closely together. So कैसे हैं खुरम? अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
Walaikum assalam, Samar. Thank you so much for having me here. And yes, we have known each other for a long time. Good to be in touch again.
Okay, and with us we also have Ali Ehsan, who's from Frag Games. Assalamu alaikum Ali, कैसे हैं आप?
वालेकुम सलाम. आपने रिक्वेस्ट की है उर्दू में बात करने की, तो मैं ट्राई करूंगा, मगर difficult. Nice to meet everybody. So the company is basically a game outsourcing studio. We mostly work with international companies to help execute larger projects. Unlike a lot of companies in Pakistan, we tend to concentrate at the core, mid-core, console, PC, wally space in game production for that. We've been going at it for 7 years. I think we're one of the few companies operating in this space in Pakistan. It's one of the largest teams of its type in here as well. And I hope, much like everybody else, that I can contribute some information and data points onto investment and games industry आपस में कैसे align करती है.
ठीक है जी. So thank you very very much. अच्छा, so सबसे पहले फराज से मालूम करते हैं. फराज, how did you find yourself in the gaming industry? ये deliberate आपकी decision थी? आपको पता था कि this is something जो question नहीं होता, आपको हमेशा से पता था that this is something that you wanted to do, or was it by accident?
I think that everything is an accident pretty much. There's just so many chaotic variables that decide what somebody ends up doing. So it's so if you play a lot of games in your childhood, you sort of tend towards that. Then you study computer science. Now you've gained that ability to connect the two things. And then in the past, I had a passion for cricket. So the first game that we happened to launch was a cricket game. for the PC, a multiplayer cricket game. So that's how I got into gaming. But if I trace back, it's these major other events that happen early on in the life that sort of decide what you ultimately end up doing. So that was me.
All right. Yep. Okay, so let's ask Ali the same question. Ji Ali, before we came online, you were telling us a little interesting anecdote, right? So,
Yeah,
aapki kaise
absolutely.
entry
So
hai?
So much like Fraz, I think you'll find this as a commonality between a lot of founders for game studios in Pakistan. We've all been huge enthusiasts of playing games when we were younger. बचपन में बहुत games खेली, बहुत strong interest रहा. I'm sure Fraz भी CS follow उन्होंने जब किया degree, तो वो यही सोच रहे होंगे कि किसी तरीके से गेम्स बनाएंगे. मैंने भी बिल्कुल इसी सोच के पीछे अपनी डिग्री की. And then for several years, I was in a support role in the industry, in which I helped launch Pakistan's first online gaming service in my tenure over at Within. And then I was hosting World Cyber Games, which is like the Olympics for video games, for several years. And then after that, I knew these people over at Mindstorm Studios who were making like the first Pakistan's first AAA cricket game, and I didn't get to participate, but I was so amazed by the work that these gentlemen was doing, which was of course Faraz and his brother Babar, that when they said, "Kid, you want to come work with us?" I was more than happy. So actually, we worked together. We're ex-colleagues.
Okay. या ये तो मुझे भी समझ आ गया अभी ये आज हमारा तीसरा सेशन है गेमिंग के ऊपर, तो ये मुझे समझ आ गया कि बहुत ही क्लोज नेट फ्रेटर्निटी है, बहुत ही इट्स लाइक फैमिली, राइट? एवरीबडी नोज एवरीबडी, हर किसी को सबका पता है. तो और हम जो है वो बस वी आर जस्ट एंटरिंग इनटू दिस स्पेस अ लिटिल बिट एंड ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ वी कैन इंटरवीन. सो दिस इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग टू नोट कि अच्छा कहीं ना कहीं से कोई ना कोई कनेक्शन है. किसी का भाई गेमर होता है, वो ले आता है अपनी बहन को, किसी का दो भाई होते हैं, वो एक और गेमर को ले आते हैं. तो with Huuuge as well, जी Huuuge, आपने जो है वो investment, right? So you were one of the investors जिन्होंने gaming industry के अंदर investments किए हैं. So was it deliberate, or did you develop an interest in games? How did you, develop a game in interest in games? What happened?
Sure, समय पहले मैं अपना तारुफ करवा दूं. मैं
जी आपने नहीं करवाया है, true that.
एक 47 वेंचर से है, जो एक इन्वेस्टमेंट इदारा है पाकिस्तान के अंदर, सरमायाकारी करता है, और पर्टिकुलरली टेक्नोलॉजी इंडस्ट्री के अंदर हम इन्वेस्टमेंट्स करते हैं. बड़ी आप इंटरेस्टिंग कॉन्वर्सेशन कर रही थी बैक स्टेज. हम अभी यही डिस्कशन कर रहे थे कि फराज, बाबर, मुराद, ये जो 2-3 लोग हैं, these are probably the Baba Adams of gaming industry in Pakistan, and they've probably encouraged, sponsored, mentored a lot of founders. So I'm glad that you're bringing them together to inspiring gaming entrepreneurs and giving them an opportunity to engage with them. जहाँ तक इन्वेस्टमेंट का ताल्लुक है, समर, just like any other commercial investor, we look at large markets. We look at the market in which we are investing and try to see कि उसकी क्या strengths हैं जिनको leverage किया जा सकता है, और कहाँ पे हम advantage create कर सकते हैं किसी भी company में invest करके उसको grow करने की. So gaming industry को अगर आप overall देखें तो फराज को और अली को शायद बेहतर पता होगा, लेकिन जहाँ तक मुझे याद है ये तकरीबन $150 अरब की मार्केट है. So it's a very large market globally. और इसके अंदर मोबाइल गेम्स को अगर आप देखें तो इट्स अ वेरी लार्ज रैपिडली ग्रोइंग सेगमेंट, प्रॉब्ली कॉन्स्टिट्यूट्स हाफ ऑफ दैट मार्केट साइज. 60-70 अरब डॉलर का मार्केट साइज सिर्फ मोबाइल गेमिंग इंडस्ट्री का है. So needless to say, when you are investing in a market, you try to go after large markets. So that's one of the reasons we got interested in the gaming market. पाकिस्तान की मार्केट में फिर पर्टिकुलरली जब आप देखें तो टेक्नोलॉजी सेक्टर के अंदर जब हमने डिसाइड किया कि इन्वेस्ट करना है, तो सबसे मैच्योर सेक्टर कौन सा है और कौन सा ऐसा सेक्टर है जहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा मैन पावर या स्किल अवेलेबल है, एग्जिस्टिंग कंपनीज़ हैं, सक्सेस स्टोरीज़ हैं. तो पाकिस्तान की मार्केट को जब आप स्टडी करें तो या तो आपको सर्विसेज सेक्टर में काफ़ी सक्सेस स्टोरीज़ नज़र आती हैं, बड़ी कंपनीज नज़र आती हैं, सिस्टम्स और टेक्नोलॉजिक्स और नेटसोल वगैरह का अगर आप एग्जांपल लें, विद सम ऑफ द ओल्डेस्ट कंपनीज. और उसके बाद लेकिन सर्विस कंपनीज जो हैं वो आइडियल नहीं हैं वेंचर कैपिटल इन्वेस्टमेंट्स के लिए, क्योंकि सर्विस कंपनीज ज़रा लीनियरली ग्रो करती हैं और VC capital generally goes into product companies या biotech के अंदर, because you're looking for that hockey stick growth, right? कि आप कम सरमाए के साथ जल्दी से grow कर सकें और अपने revenues और profitability को बहुत जल्दी grow कर सकें. So that obviously shifts, creates a bias for product-oriented companies. जहाँ पे आप initially invest करते हैं, product को grow करते हैं, and then you develop a business plan and marketing plan, and you rapidly acquire customers and grow the company and generate revenues. तो product side पे जब आप देखा जाए तो पाकिस्तान में मेरे ख्याल में सबसे mature industry जो है, that is the gaming industry. Mindstorm Studios को अगर लिया जाए तो मेरे ख्याल में कम से कम Faraz might be able to correct me, लेकिन मेरे ख्याल में कम से कम 15 साल पुरानी company, maybe even 20 years old, and they have spawned a lot of companies to be created out of Mindstorm, people who worked in Mindstorm. और इसी तरह Frag Games है, GameStorm Studios है, Caramel Tech है. There are tons of companies out there, tons of talent, mentorship भी available है, conducive environment है, universities के अंदर बच्चे ये सीख के निकल रहे हैं, गेमिंग बनाने का चार्म भी है उनको, अपनी skills भी develop करते हैं. So these are all the factors why we became interested in this space in Pakistan.
Okay, what about your favorite game as a child? Did you also used to play something जिसकी वजह से you were also again maybe doubly interested?
Well, my favorite game as a child was Mario Brothers. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. But it used to be one of those two-sided consoles, and you play both sides at times.
I was awfully bad at Mario Brothers.
It was one of the few games जिस पे आप actually multiplayer कर सकते थे, क्योंकि उसकी 2 स्क्रीनें होती थी. तो एक स्क्रीन को आप कंट्रोल करते, दूसरी स्क्रीन आपका कोई दोस्त या कोई भाई बहन वगैरह कंट्रोल कर रहा होता. तो इट वाज कंपैरेटिव इन दैट सेंस. बाकी जो गेम एंड वॉच की सारी गेम्स थी, दे जनरली टेंडेड टू बी सिंगल प्लेयर गेम्स. So
I'm going to ask you guys something, okay? Because मुझे बहुत मुश्किलों से कोई भी नहीं मिलता who's ever played Puyan. Have you guys played Puyan ever?
I have.
Sadness, but you have got me.
I'm going to share a link later.
I'm Googling it now.
Yes, please do it again. But anyway, Mario Brothers, मैं और मेरी बहन हुए 2 sisters. So I was awfully bad. वो बड़ी बहन है तो वो हमेशा मारियो बन जाती थी, and I was the younger brother, right? The white वाला.
You were Luigi, right? Yeah.
Luigi, yes, I was Luigi. And I was awfully bad because मैं बस एक right का button करके I would be like चलो 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 भागो ठीक है speed. But yeah, it doesn't work. What about you guys, Faraz and Ali? आप लोग कौन से favorite games थे?
Bachpan mein, so I was grown up on Sega, so I used to play a lot of Sonic the Hedgehog, which was the opposite of the cool Mario, right? The cool Mario, which never made it quite as big. And then after that, as I grew up, I played a lot of strategy games, so Warcraft, Dota, Tekken. These were like where my childhood hours spent.
Faraz, same question.
Yeah, pretty much the same games. I think my first computer was a Commodore 64. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. It's online. It's for the oldies. And it had all the classics on it. Punchy and Judy, Paperboy, forms of Castlevania, and Frogger. So these are really old, ancient games that I used to play, Karateka. And I think I'm still stuck in that era for some reason. Whenever I see something pixelated, I get excited. So and then consoles kept upgrading and coming into the market, and now PS5 is upon us, 4K television. So things keep changing. It's this industry is heavily innovative, and they're constantly upgrading their technologies and experiences. New things coming in. There's the VR craze, and now the augmented reality craze. Higher definition games, and productions are also getting massive now. So that's something everybody's going to end up playing things that they haven't witnessed before. Years and years of technical development and millions of dollars. They're getting bigger and bigger. And this is something that Frag Games, I think, is unique to my knowledge in Pakistan. These guys are the only company that are actually plugged into that scale of an ecosystem, which is the AAA games. We're into the little games, the mobile games, so it's slightly different. So yeah.
But that's where the industry is going the most, right? Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm saying there's a lot of variety of things to play, and that's an important aspect to understand about the gaming industry. That not only is it big, it's also varied. Because I mean, you named a game that none of us have played. There are also other games. There are browser games. There are games inside messengers. There are games on smaller consoles. There are games on big TVs. There are games on PCs. So each one has its own, investment sort of mindset. How you approach it from a business point of view, how investors should approach it, how people involved in production should approach it. And then each of these areas also have additional companies that are sort of attached to it. And these companies are, the new buzzword for them is game tech. So just one game isn't, technologically just a game on its own. It's actually plugged into so many other services that help the company operate the game. And these services are also gaming technologies. They include technologies that let you, support customers, analyze your metrics, monetize the players. Even if you have like voice chat inside your game, it's possibly some other company's tech that you're using within your game. So it's just a vast jungle and an ecosystem, and you have to find your place in it.
Khurram, how do you see this, right? So this industry, where do you think as investors, is it any game that people can invest in and hopefully, make a good return? Or do you see a growing trend in mobile games, for instance? What would you recommend to other investors who are trying to enter the market? How can they be safe with their investment while obviously, betting on some gaming idea?
Well, Samar, we're not exclusively a gaming industry fund, so we're a broad tech industry fund. The reason it just so happened that a couple of our early investments happened to be in the gaming industry was also because one of my partners, Fanbat, who's an investment banker out of UK, he's probably one of the most successful tech sector, mobile-focused investment bankers in the world, at least of Pakistani origin. अगर आपने जिक्र किया था of a large investment, अगर आप पिछले कोई साल 1.5 साल या 2 साल का ट्रेंड देखें तो $9-10 billion अरब डॉलर्स की इन्वेस्टमेंट हो चुकी है इस स्पेस के अंदर. And two of the largest deals, Supercell was almost, I think, $8 to $9 billion. King, sale to Activision, was around $5.9 billion. They were both brokered by Afan, my partner in the fund. So we had sort of an inherent strength in the company, in our fund, to be able to add a lot more value to the mobile industry and gaming industry specifically compared to other tech industries. So I think that bias was at play when we made our first few investments in this space. But when we in general though, when we're looking at a company to invest, space or market is one thing that we look at, but one of the foremost things that we look at least is the team that we are investing in. Whether they have the passion, the expertise, the skills to be able to take this company from a concept or an idea stage to a very large company that we would like to exit from. So हमें mobile industry के अंदर generally ज़्यादा maturity मिलती है founders की. So that's one of the key strengths of the industry in Pakistan.
क्योंकि ये मेरा आपसे नेक्स्ट सवाल भी होना था अबाउट द टीम, बिकॉज नॉर्मली भी जब भी हम इन्वेस्टर्स से बात करते हैं तो वो हमेशा टीम की बात जरूर करते हैं कि काफी दफा टीम में इन्वेस्टमेंट की जाती है, आइडिया क्योंकि पिवट भी हो सकता है, चेंजेस आती हैं, बट अगर टीम कोचेबल है, टीम स्ट्रांग है, कैपेसिटी रखती है एग्जीक्यूशन की, then they're worth an investment.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, team is the most critical element of a business that we look at when we're looking to invest. There are others also. Gaming industry particularly चूंकि creative industry है, तो इसके अंदर I think जो idea और जो आपके team की expertise है in the ability to come up with the kind of games that people would play and engage, वो बड़ा matter करता है. Business model, obviously, just in like any other investment, the business model is very critical. कि आप पैसा कैसे बनाएंगे. गेमिंग इंडस्ट्री में बड़े वेरिंग किस्म के बिजनेस मॉडल्स हैं. अली जिस किस्म की गेम्स बनाते हैं, that's the predominant market share. I think 60-70% जो market share है gaming industry में, that's from the mid-core, hardcore category of games. Then there's a 10 to 15% and a very rapidly growing market share that's in the casual gaming industry. और फिर बाकी 4-5% बिल्कुल जो free gamers होते हैं, जो they're always looking for free games to play. So you have to differentiate, and there are tons of there must be like 1 million publishers on App Store and Play Store. So you have to find a company that has a differentiated business model. What we liked about Turbo Labz was that they have identified a category of games that जिसमें कम से कम game play का risk नहीं था. So everybody plays chess, for example. Chess already has a huge market. People know how to play chess, so there's no risk of people not understanding or saying, okay, this is a game that's too complex, so we're not going to play it. And it has a large following. People are very passionate about chess also. But the spin, if Faraz had come to us and said, okay, they're building a chess game, we may not have invested in the company. But their pitch was to build a platform, a social gaming platform that enables people to play real-time, interactive, engaging, time-based games, turn-based games. और उसमें इनका predominant focus was on game categories that people are already familiar with. Chess हो गया, pool हो गया, ludo हो गया, carom हो गया, for example. So building a framework that enables you to very rapidly then build games on top of that framework and rapidly deploy it in the market, we thought that was a very strong business model. And then adding on the whole social engagement element of people being able to talk to each other and chat and build friends, and then tournaments and ranking and all of that. We thought that was a very strong business model and the reason we invested. And these are the same things that we look for any other investment in the future also. The team has to be strong. They have to have a differentiated business model. They have to have very creative people on their team. And, ideally, they've already demonstrated that they can build successful games and get it out there. Despite that, it's a sector that has huge risks. Agar aap isme success dekhein games ki, to even the same companies have 1 or 2 hugely popular titles, और उसके बाद वो गेमें बनाते रहते हैं लेकिन वो successful नहीं होती. So I think generally I might be out of my depth making this statement, but generally nobody, I think, has cracked the business model, so to say, of how to make a successful game that's going to go viral, have very low acquisition cost, and extremely high lifetime value from the players. So it's at the end of the day, it still gets down to a gut call somewhat.
Achha, Ali, you wanted to add something. So I have the same question from you as as somebody who's raised investment. क्या आपके case में यही था? This was true, which held true for you as well?
Yeah, I think a lot of the data points that Khurram कह रहे हैं वो काफी हद तक true हैं. I think in my case, I don't know if this is historically true, because उस वक्त raising investments from angels का इतना culture नहीं था. This is about 7-8 years back. So we raised about $250,000, mostly from people inside the circle, people who I had access to, who were looking to make a conventional investment. And उस वक्त ecosystem से बाहर रहते हुए, when VC investments were not a thing, it was a very interesting conversation. Like you couldn't talk to them as VCs and about the fact कि आपके पैसे सारे ज़ाया भी हो सकते हैं. You had to also tell them कि नहीं, at the end of the day, we can always pivot. So we initially raised investment as a product company. This is also important to share, right? And we told them कि look, security model ये है कि factory तो नहीं है. तो अगर pivot करना हुआ तो हम services model पे pivot करके survive कर सकते हैं. So early stage investments काफी differ करती हैं late stage investments में. I would say I would also back Param up on this. I don't think services companies are really worth investing in until a certain ridiculous level of scale is hit, and then even then it's not a VC investment, because VCs like to place their bets on big returns. So I think a services company with known capability pivoting back to products is an angle that can be looked at. But ultimately, you're going to be looking for a company with past success and a DNA for success. And Udaybee is absolutely right. Think about it. It is the highest entertainment industry in the world. Some of the largest businesses are in this sector, yet it is not ripe for VC investment. Why? Because ultimately it is a hit-driven business. It has the same problem that plagues movies. Okay, hit-driven business means that there are very few companies, right, which have a cycle of repeat hits. And it's also a very new industry. So mobile games maybe is what, 15 years old? So udhar wo pedigree establish karna bhi is hard. But yes, bilkul, we raised our initial investment on team pedigree, on our capability to deliver, on a very definite plan कि हम ये game बनाएंगे या ये games बनाएंगे अगले 2 सालों में अगर हम successful हुए. And the services plan was always the pivot plan. Okay, we will cover your investment by not going out of business, because this is side of the sector that we weren't familiar with, but thought we could tackle. So I feel that conventional investments is riskier here, but here are the angles why I looked at it as an investor, because after all, I put my own money down on this as well, right? It's an industry which has very low capex. It's a talent-driven industry. It's an industry which has a huge potential upside. So when you look at investments, especially on the VC side, you're looking at, can this industry, do they even have stories for a 20x return, for a 100x return? Because if it's a conventional business model, if you're selling socks, for example, there is no model available for that 20x, 100x return, right? So the industry has it. It's talent-based, and I think I was a little naive back then. Pakistan has its own talent issues. There are great plus sides, and then there are, they're great highs, and then there are great chasms on both sides. You have to see the risk. But summarizing, I would say that late-stage companies which have known product success can definitely raise big money for marketing. This is a very viable angle. I think as a VC, I don't wish to speak for Khurram Saab, he can better comment, but you're always looking for, Acha, what are you going to do with my money? If somebody tells you that I've got this great product, I've tested it, it has all of these numbers built in, I'm looking to raise because I'm going to spend this in marketing to get my products throttled. That's a viable case. If somebody says that, we've been restrained by budgets on the kind of games that we've built, we'd like to do something bigger and better. We'd like to go without a publisher. That's a good case. If in our industry, on the other side of the spectrum, if you'd like to look at core, mid-core games, and you're like, yeah, we need to put down $5 million to be even able to make a proper game. That's a viable case only if you have a publisher aligned, because ultimately there's a lot of marketing spend that's going to get behind it. So काफी cases हैं in large parts agreement. I'm so glad that the ecosystem has developed that we can actually talk about VC investments in gaming, because like a decade ago, this was definitely not on the table.
So my other question, follow-up question, Ali, would be कि आपने जैसे जो आपका route था पहले angel investment की तरफ आप गए थे, then you were able to secure follow-on capital as well. Is that something that you would still recommend कि कोई भी अगर gaming industry के अंदर enter कर रहे हैं and they've got a creative team, they've got kind of like the ingredients ready. So would you still recommend the same kind of trajectory to them?
I mean, there are definitely stories available even in current ecosystems in which existing teams have raised funding. Like अगर Revolving Games को देखा जाए, जिन्होंने Sarmayacar ने investment की थी. Yes, it's not an industry secret to say that Revolving Games is basically caramel tech. So they definitely had a pedigree for going into games, but they rebranded themselves as a new studio. So they're a veteran team which is saying, we have expertise, which we've got prior known production success, and now we want to build this big ambitious game, and now we've got American-based team members. I don't want to get too much into that specific story, but I think the story is a good example of raising investment with a veteran team, even in today's dynamic. For product-oriented teams which have an IP in hand, publisher commitments in hand, it's definitely a viable route. In fact, I would say in many ways, very hard. This is a notorious problem कि services companies के लिए product switch करना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है. We've been struggling to do this for almost a year now, right? Even with money in hand, and I don't want to beat a dead horse. Okay, it's hard because it takes time constraints, right? So viable model even today to try and get a pedigree team together and try and raise investment. मगर जितनी भी pedigree team हो, Pakistani investments are a little cautious, and बाहर भी जो आप big investments देख रहे हो ना gaming में, it's not really from VC. It's a Peak is a proven success company, right? Zynga had already invested $100 million and then saw the successes. Supercell had been minting money for the longest period of time. This was basically an exit investment for Ilka & Co. They were like, we've made our billions, and now we don't want to do this for all our lives. So let's see if there's a exit, basically.
फराज, what about you? आपके perspective किस तरह से different है, same है? आपकी तारीफें तो हो चुकी हैं, on screen भी हो गई हैं that you had the right team. But what else? What do you see?
Well, when it comes to, there's just so much important information that came through that I lost track of the original question. So we're talking about investment and gaming, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I think that KZ, Khurram Zafar, I call him KZ.
Yeah.
He nailed it on the head when he spoke of business models. So VCs are smart when it comes to business models, and when it comes to forecasting whether a company is going to end up being profitable and eventually head towards an exit. When you come from a gamer's perspective, especially if your experience is computer science and making games, and you're doing it for a passion, a lot of times you lose track of what the business model should be. So you might be passionate about a certain type of game that you want to make, or something you enjoy playing, or you might have the skill for making something, but uske jo real world market challenges hote hain wo bahut varied hote hain, and you need to really think carefully through how you're going to monetize your game and build a sustainable business around it. For example, there's a trend for hyper casual games these days, and everybody seemingly everybody jumps into it because it takes 2 to 3 weeks to build one of these titles, and then you're seeing these success stories from other studios that, hey, they made this much money, or this game was really successful and it reached the top of the charts. But if you dig deeper into its business model, it's extremely complicated, and it's backed by millions of dollars. Literally, there are large teams iterating on different advertisement models, running analytics, trying to fine-tune the first day's retention. There's a large publisher behind it with a massive marketing team ready to push your game. So there's just so many things that go into bringing it to life. So it's very important for both game developers and investors to be fully aware of the business model and how it's going to play out in the immediate term, short term, near term, future term. The best thing to do is always to prototype without investment. So I think there's a term that VCs use, 3 Fs, friends, families, and fools. So you want to grab a bit of money from these people and prove and focus on proving your business model. Do not focus on, hey, look, my game looks pretty, or look, it's fun to play. Show them that, look, 50% of my players stick around on day 1. Show them on day 7, I still have 20% of these players. On day 30, 10% of these players are playing. And then show them that, look, in my game, I'm going to show X amount of advertisements, and these many advertisements generate this much money per view. And if I acquire this many users, it's going to generate this much money. That's just one part of the equation. And if you're targeting a genre that's competitive, you have to solve the other side of the equation, which is how much is it going to cost you to acquire a user? So you might be generating, $1, $2 from a user, and you can prove that out. But when you try to run ads to acquire users, you're going to see that that costs you $5 or $10. There are games out there that companies are spending $40 to acquire a user. Users are that expensive. And then there's some games which cost 30, 40 cents. And again, these business models, they vary depending upon demographics and geography. So if you have to also select your time, your countries. So if you're gonna launch a game like Ludo that's popular in Pakistan or India, uske apna business model, and uske apne, you're not gonna make that much money from in-app purchases or showing ads, and but at the same time it'll be cheaper for you to acquire users, so that might scale. So there are all of these multiple dimensions that you need to keep a spreadsheet for. Focus on the analytics, focus on your numbers, and you just need to prove them out at a unit level. Other things that happen is that even if you do prove it out at a unit level, what happens is that once you start acquiring users, the first chunk of users might be cheaper, but then these games are not scalable. For example, if you have a very specific game, that particular game might have an audience of 1% of the people who download games in general on the market. So what that means is once you acquire that 1% audience, there are no more players that you can really buy, and it's going to be very expensive for you to acquire more players because you have to run more and more ads. So focus. My advice to people from both ends, investment and people making games, is focus on the business model, focus on proving it out and eliminating risks as early as possible, and then you can scale step by step. And also, these are the numbers. If you keep the right focus and you keep the right documentation and tools in order to document this business model and present it to investors for pitching, these are the same tools that you can take to publishers, because that's the exact same thing that they're looking for. They might be more into gaming in terms of marketing, but they think exactly like investors do. They look at the business model, they look at the profitability before pumping in money into your game.
Okay, thank you. It's
Samar,
very
I
comprehensive, by the way, for us. जी KZ, आपकी तरफ ही आ रहे हैं, बताएं.
Samar, I just want to add a small thing. I think excellent points made by both Ali and Faraz. One of I don't know exactly what the audience mix is for this session, but I'd imagine there'll be a lot of very young aspiring entrepreneurs who maybe recently graduated from university. उनके लिए एक बड़ी interesting option emerge हो रही है पाकिस्तान के अंदर, as opposed to sort of fighting it out on their own. As long as they're creative, they know how to build games quickly, particularly in the hyper casual category. Not talking about mid-core games,
strategy games.
लेकिन hyper casual category के अंदर अब mature Pakistani companies हैं या even international companies भी हैं that have now started playing the role of publishers, which means that they have enough resources and they have enough insights about this market to be able to assess whether a game is going to, has a higher probability of succeeding or a low probability of succeeding. And when they make that determination and they like the team and they like the creative idea behind the game, they are actually willing to pick up the expense of bankrolling the team for a few months so that they can, polish the product further. And then they invest in marketing the game or connect with larger publishers to market the game. So for the young people in the audience जो बिल्कुल अभी recently graduate किए हैं और ज़्यादा तजर्बा नहीं है particularly successful games बनाने का, लेकिन creative हैं, game बनाना भी जानते हैं, technology savvy भी हैं, तो वो 2-3 बच्चे बच्चियाँ अपनी छोटी सी टीम बना के they can reach out to these companies. So for example, just to give an example, Lion is one of the largest publishers in the world. And they've raised, hundreds of millions of dollars from, not just VCs, but even private equity funds. And their business model is exactly that. They identify, small, bright teams. They bring them on board. They support them for a few months, give them specific targets, and give them an opportunity to develop quickly these games. And then they do these experiments and A/B testing and keep, tweaking the game, and then they bankroll it. And then what they do is, so the option for the young entrepreneurs is instead of raising money and going out to VCs or friends or families, what they can do is they can share the part of the revenue or part of the profits with this publisher who is bankrolling the game for the marketing purposes. So that's an option that they should certainly look into. Local भी companies हैं जिन्होंने अब ये करना शुरू कर दिया है. GameStorm, for example, does that. I'm sure there are others who have this similar business model also. So just since that opportunity is out there, just wanted to point that out to the audience.
No, thank you for doing that, right? And you've also mentioned a few names. So for all the audience, और ये questions आ रहे हैं because हमारे पास बार-बार जो gaming industry की जो positive चीज़ है in Pakistan, a computer engineering की side पे the technology development, we have some excellent talent here. Storytelling का at least previous sessions के अंदर आ रहा था कि भाई storytelling और creative writing के ऊपर maybe more focus needs to be there because वो जो especially maybe not so much in hyper casual games, लेकिन जो दूसरे games हैं उसके अंदर the character building, that whole the storyline वो बहुत ज़्यादा important है और वहाँ पे maybe और मेहनत करने की ज़रूरत है. So let me segue into the next question and maybe we can start with you, Khurram, कि आपको क्या नजर आता है कि कौन-कौन सी strengths हैं gaming industry की और क्या-क्या weaknesses हैं जिसके ऊपर अभी काम करने की ज़रूरत है as an industry at the university level, maybe जो studios का बता रहे हैं, people investing time and energy, right? So क्या-क्या और support अभी हमें करने की ज़रूरत है और क्या चीजें हैं जो कि we're spot on, we're already very good.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, everything is relative, obviously, right? Gaming industry, relatively speaking, is a fairly mature industry in Pakistan. So that certainly is one of the strengths for the industry. It has more success stories. It has even had exits, which is something that we, hardly see in the broader technology industry and something that investors are very interested in. It also has mentors and advisors who can guide you along the journey, which is very important for ecosystems to develop and mature. It has now investors who have actually invested in gaming companies. So the capital is out there as well. And I think one of the biggest strengths of this sector is that it has this, massive equalizing force. आप चीचों की मलिया में बैठ के एक गेम बनाएं या सिलिकॉन वैली में पालो आल्टो के अंदर बैठ के एक गेम बनाएं, वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूट प्ले स्टोर और ऐप स्टोर के थ्रू ही होगी, राइट? सो आपका जो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन चैनल है दैट इज द सेम. सो द इंटरनेट, as long as you have an internet connection, you can build a good game, you can publish it, you are at par with everybody else. बाकी गेम रह जाती है कि उसकी क्वालिटी क्या है, उसको आपने मार्केट कैसे किया है, उसके इकोनॉमिक्स क्या है. सो वो सारे एग्जीक्यूशन के फैक्टर्स हैं. लेकिन जो जनरल बैरियर्स होते हैं कारोबार शुरू करने में, उसको ग्रो करने में, जो आपको बाकी इंडस्ट्री में नज़र आते हैं, इवन ब्रॉडर टेक इंडस्ट्री में आपको बहुत सारे बैरियर्स नज़र आते हैं, वो ये गेमिंग इंडस्ट्री में रिलेटिवली कम है. अगेन आई वांट टू कीप एम्फसाइजिंग all of this is relative compared to, for example, let's say if you have a SaaS product in the tech sector, how do you market it, right? आपके 50,000 चैनल्स हैं, तरीके हैं जिससे आप वो SaaS प्रोडक्ट को मार्केट कर सकते हैं ऑनलाइन. लेकिन गेमिंग जो गेम्स हैं वो आपके 2 डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन चैनल्स हैं, उसके ऊपर आपने फोकस करना है. उसका बहुत सारा डेटा अवेलेबल है, उसके बहुत सारे एक्सपर्ट्स भी हैं. सो यू कैन ऑलवेज मेक वेरी इंटेलिजेंट डिसीजंस अबाउट गेम पब्लिशिंग. जहाँ तक वीकनेसेस का ताल्लुक है, I think हमारा जो it's nothing specific to the gaming sector per se, but one of the biggest weaknesses that we have seen with another one of our investments in this space is the ability of sending and receiving money online. पाकिस्तान के अंदर अगर आप आपका एक ऐसा बिजनेस मॉडल है जिससे आप छोटी छोटी पेमेंट्स कर रहे हैं अपने कस्टमर्स को, और आपके और छोटी छोटी पेमेंट्स आप रिसीव कर रहे हैं अपने लेट्स से एडवर्टाइजर्स से या एड नेटवर्क से, तो ये दिस बिकम्स वेरी चैलेंजिंग, राइट? आपको पैसे मूव करना, अगर आपने $170 भेजने हैं किसी को टर्बो लैब से यूक्रेन में किसी लेट्स से पब्लिशर को, so it's similar to sending $1 million out of Pakistan, right? The amount of documentation that has to be done is the same, and that is causing a lot of companies to reconsider being parked inside Pakistan, and they're now considering domiciling in more friendly business ecosystems. और ये बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट होता है, गेमिंग इंडस्ट्री में बड़ा ज़रूरी होती है. आपने छोटी छोटी पेमेंट्स करनी होती हैं, आपने वेंडर्स की पेमेंट करनी होती है, आपने गेम स्टैक यूज़ किया फॉर एग्जांपल, उसकी आपने पेमेंट करनी है. तो these becomes impediments, and I hope the government realizes how important it is to support this industry, not just the gaming industry but the broader tech industry, to address these challenges.
And we'll do a deep dive in that anyway, Khurram, because I would like to ask you कि कौन-कौन सी पॉलिसीज जो हैं वो चेंज होने की ज़रूरत है या उन पे एटलीस्ट गौर व फिक्र करने की जरूरत है, ठीक है, चेंज अगर फौरन नहीं भी होती है. बट अली, अभी आई एम गोइंग टू टेक द क्वेश्चन टू यू नाउ एंड फाइंड आउट फ्रॉम यू, जो आपने पहली इन्वेस्टमेंट रेज की थी, हाउ मच टाइम डिड दैट टेक यू, राइट? व्हेन वाज द फर्स्ट लिटिल विन, व्हेन वाज द बिग विन, एंड आई एम गोइंग टू आस्क फराज द सेम क्वेश्चन एज वेल.
So I'll preempt that बता के कि मैं आपको बता तो दूंगा, मगर I'm a bit of a, कई लोग थोड़े से crazy होते हैं ना, तो वो common example वो, guys I'm so sorry, I'm on call, guys.
No, not at all.
So
your son, that's perfectly okay.
जी बिल्कुल. So basically, let me preempt that by saying, okay, so it took me 6 weeks in which I put together the investment and put the team together. But I think normally it takes a little bit longer. I would say any time period of 3 months to 6 months to build a team and raise the investment is good. I would like to, my audience ko ye kehna chahunga ki take your time. The foundations of a company and what you're doing, better to start slow and then to assure your success rather than to accelerate fast and then hit a brick wall. To the point where, adding to this question, I would say कि अगर इस वक्त audience में young लोग बैठे हुए हैं जो सोच रहे हैं that they want to come into this industry. I am an individual sometimes of a conservative mindset, but here's the thing. Faraz has nailed something very accurate. He's talking about the data models जिसके पीछे आपको पता लगता है कि ये गेम चलेगी भी कि नहीं. And अगर तो ये like young लोगों को नहीं पता ये चीजें, then like any other industry, they should devote some years to a professional career to learn the ins and outs of what they are going to eventually do on their own. Hubris and confidence में काफी फर्क है, right? If everything that we're talking about in this conversation, कि day 1 retention कैसे measure करनी है, day 7 ad buy कैसे होना है, आपने कैसे game के funnels design करने हैं to maximize, if this is French to you, then you need to work in a game company before starting something on your own, or invest a significant amount of time to bridge this gap. So it took me a month. I don't think that's normal. I don't think that's particularly that's a good representative case. And I feel that even in my case, I had prior experience in the gaming industry. I was willing to invest in my own company. I had a proper business plan. I had a very senior team on board. So ye wali characteristics are not going to be there for every first-time entrepreneur. So that is also an important element to internalize in this conversation.
Okay. No, I think this is really important, but it also gives us hope, right? ये अच्छी बात ये है कि आपके केस में जल्दी इन्वेस्टमेंट रेज हुई, तो ठीक है, there are some positives. And अगर मैं अभी अब यही वाला क्वेश्चन फराज से पूछते हैं, ठीक है, कि फराज के केस में कितना फर्क था, and then one of the things I think that I would like to drive home again and again, because काफी ज्यादा दफा हम इंस्पायर्ड हो जाते हैं, especially young people, कि उनकी अच्छी वो था, trajectory थी, बस this is going to happen the same way with us. So it's important also to realize that everybody's trajectory may be very different. It may not be the same. So Faraz, in your case, right, how did it, how soon were you able to pick up the first investment? And then how many years later were you able to pick up the international investment by Huuuge Games? Oh, sorry, you have to unmute. Hang on, let me unmute you.
I had mute on, sorry about that. So we spent a year or so building out our initial prototype. During that process, we were also, sort of articulating our business model. Again, focused on eliminating risks. I'll use the example of our game. Our mindset was we were looking at all risks that could cause the product to fail, and we were making sure that we were eliminating each specific risk individually. For example, we even looked at the fact that, hey, if we do start acquiring users, the install cost is going to go up. So we chose the genre of chess because 700 million people play chess on a daily basis. So we knew that if you keep acquiring, the chess user base is not going to run out. So that's just one example of how we approach the whole prototype thing. So once we had that business model in place, and that's exactly what Khurram pointed out right now, is that 47 Ventures was interested in the business model and the platform vision. We wanted to create something that we could replicate. because one product is always a certain has a certain amount of risk. So you have to be able to replicate and scale. You got to have more shots at goal, and you can also increase your number of products to increase your company's overall cash flow. So we built out the platform. We pitched the platform specifically. We pitched our business model, and it took us a year to show something to 47 Ventures that they would be interested in supporting. They have been awesome because these business models are complex, and they've been extremely supportive because we were working inside the shadow of the hyper casual trend. And so we're surrounded by other gaming companies that are churning out games, a game every 2 weeks or so. While our business model was extremely contrasting, we were like, hey, we're going to build a platform. It's going to take us, we're in the 4th year of production now with one game. So, for 47 Ventures to stand by our side, support us, buy into our vision, and understand that we're heading the right direction, that was amazing. And that's exactly what happened. The same metrics, the same mindset, the same collaborative support, multiple rounds of support from 47 Ventures helped us get to the point where Huuuge Games, came in. They looked at the same numbers. In fact, 47 Ventures was so good at, keeping us focused and, making us show them the right business model that I was literally able to take the same pitch deck that I gave to 47 Ventures, change the title, send it to Huuuge Games, and they bought into it, and things moved forward. So it's been an amazing partnership, and that's resulted in really big success. And Huuuge themselves, it's their first key investment in Pakistan. They're a really big company with more than $100 million in publishing budget. So they have big plans for where Turbo Labs can go, and things are going really well. We're about to scale this quarter, and hopefully we'll be able to share even bigger news with you guys in the coming.
Inshallah. Very soon. We're looking forward to that, Faraz. But we left with little time now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask quickly a few questions. Or जो answer करना चाहता है, just do a quick show of hands, and then we'll go to the person. But पहला वाला तो मैं केजी से पूछने लगी हूँ कि केजी अब now that international investment is coming in, Lion Studios is coming in, all of these positive developments are happening, right? So अब आपको क्या लगता है for anybody entering into the industry and trying to raise investment, after maybe they've utilized the platforms जो available भी हैं या जिन GameStorm के साथ या different लोगों के साथ वो काम करके develop अगर कर लेते हैं, so what is easier? Local investors को tap in करना, has the mindset changed still, या भी अली की तरह पहले बताना पड़ेगा और मतलब चीजें difficult हैं, or is it easier now कि बस directly international investment की तरफ नजर डाली जा सकती है?
Summer, raising money is always difficult. It's never easy. Even in a place like Silicon Valley, has a very dense entrepreneurial ecosystem and lots of capital chasing good founders. It used to take us 50, 60, 70 investor meetings before we would get a few to say okay, come and pitch to us. उसमें से कोई एक दो होता था जो पैसे देने को तैयार होता था. तो we nowhere in Pakistan, we nowhere even close to the kind of effort you had to put in a place like Silicon Valley. So relatively speaking, so it's still difficult. It's still difficult to raise money in Pakistan. That's the bottom line. आपको अभी भी बहुत सारे इन्वेस्टर्स को अप्रोच करना पड़ेगा, अपनी स्टोरी बहुत दफ़ा रीट्रेट करनी पड़ेगी, सीखना पड़ेगा, जैसे जैसे आप पिच कर रहे हैं उसको रिफैक्टर करना पड़ेगा अपनी पिच को, और eventually somebody will say कि okay, I believe in this and I'm willing to invest in you. But I think certainly it's a lot easier to approach investors who are already sold on the country. International investors के साथ ये होता है, they have the entire world to invest in, or at least if it's a regional investor, they'll have a fairly broad regional mandate. वो इंडिया में भी इन्वेस्ट कर सकता है, पाकिस्तान में भी कर सकता है, इंडोनेशिया में, मलेशिया में, वियतनाम में कहीं भी इन्वेस्ट कर सकता है अगर. So they tend to go with markets that are proven, जहाँ पे exits ज़्यादा हैं and जिनकी regulatory legal domains के साथ वो comfortable हैं. So
Okay, better.
Sorry, my bad.
alright.
Okay.
So अगर आप उस स्टेप को एलिमिनेट कर दें अपने फंड रेजिंग के प्रोसेस से कि पहले आपने मुल्क को बेचना है, फिर आपने मुल्क की रेगुलेटरी रजीम को बेचना है, फिर आपने लॉ को बेचना है, फिर आपने मुल्क के टैलेंट को, इंडस्ट्री को बेचना है, तो प्रोसेस रिलेटिवली कतरे थोड़ा सा आसान हो जाता है. तो जैसे 47 वेंचर्स है या सरमायाकार है या अदर लोकल अब फंड्स भी आ गए हैं पाकिस्तान में, लैक्सन वगैरह. These are all funds that at least are sold on the country and the promise of the Pakistani market, right? They're sold on the talent here. They're sold on the fact that there's good, credible founders who can build large companies. So उस hurdle को कम से कम अगर आप avoid कर लें, local investors को पहले approach करें, and in parallel always approach international investors, always approach your friends and family also. It's a long drawn out process. You never know कहाँ से पैसे raise होंगे, कहाँ से नहीं होंगे. तो मेरी रिकमेंडेशन तो ये होगी कि अगर जो नए लोग आ रहे हैं फंड रेजिंग कर रहे हैं, दे शुड एक्सप्लोर एवरी एवेन्यू दैट्स आउट देयर. लेकिन सबसे ज़रूरी ये है, जिस रानी ने पहले कहा था कि यू नीड टू बी द फर्स्ट बिलीवर इन योर कंपनी, इन योर आइडिया, राइट? व्हिच मींस के टेकिंग द लीप ऑफ फेथ. अक्सर हमारे पास फाउंडर्स आते हैं, वो कहते हैं कि हम साथ में जॉब भी करेंगे और आप हमारी कंपनी को फंड कर दें, हम इसको भी $1 बिलियन कंपनी बना देंगे. दैट डजंट क्वाइट वर्क. तो आपने पहले खुद ये प्रूव करना है कि यू बिलीव इन द आइडिया, यू पैशनेट अबाउट इट. फिर आपने अपनी रिसोर्सफुलनेस प्रूव करनी है कि आप 2-3 और लोगों को भी इंस्पायर कर सकते हैं इस कंपनी को ज्वाइन करने में फॉर इक्विटी इंस्टेड ऑफ कैपिटल. फिर आप अपने फ्रेंड्स और फैमिली को थोड़ा कन्विंस कर सकते हैं, सेल कर सकते हैं, जो आपको 25-30-35 साल से जानते हैं कि वो आपके अंदर थोड़ा सा कैपिटल इन्वेस्ट करें अपनी रिस्क एपेटाइट के मुताबिक, और उसको आपने अच्छी तरह यूटिलाइज किया, देन यू अप्रोच इन्वेस्टर्स. दैट्स अ प्रॉपर वे टू डू इट.
I think that is very useful, not just for the gaming industry particularly, लेकिन हर entrepreneur के लिए. I think आपने ना in a way road map दे दिया है कि भाई ये चीजें करो, and then along the way you will be able to pick up other people's capital. But initially I think Faraz also mentioned, right, कि खुद की investment was really important. Yes, go ahead, Faraz.
I'd like to point out one thing. If you look at almost all of the current big investments, including that have come internationally into Pakistan, including our deal with Huuuge Publishing, there is a common element in all of these, and one of the key without which they wouldn't have happened really. So in our case, Huuuge Games was doing a world tour, and I believe they landed in Islamabad somewhere, and where somebody mentioned Labz. I wasn't there personally, but it was the networking aspect and the travel aspect that actually made it happen. Similarly, for Revolving Games and Lion's presence, all of these at the very beginning, it all happened because the company leaders or the CEOs or business development folks were overseas and networking at all of these conferences. So without that element, we won't be able to build. We need that element in order to build the right relationships and enable all of these deals from happening. So we got to reach out way beyond your computer and your desk. You got to move around. You got to build these people, these relationships, and you have to build them face to face in order to enable these events. So that's another aspect that's important in all of this.
Okay, when do you guys think we will see the first unicorn? Yes, Ali. Ali, you can unmute up. Huh?
Yeah, so I've been actually trying to work this into the conversation for a while. I think that one of the things is that Pakistani companies don't share information. Like Epic Games, arguably the largest games company out there, has bought out a gaming middleware technology provider called Quixel. They're based out of Islamabad. Last year, the deal is undisclosed. It is highly speculated to be north of $100 million. There are already, the point to share this is not just to be like with some amazing job on joining Epic, because I think the Pakistani co-founder is now one of Epic's 14 directors. The point to share is that there are already huge success stories out there. Because of that, Epic is now looking into Pakistan and trying to see whether they can set up a 300-man studio here. It doesn't have to happen today. So I feel that I don't know which space it will take place in. Will it take place in hyper casual? Will it take place in casual? But given the opportunity in Pakistan, our cost advantage to India, which, believe it or not, Indian market is more saturated for investment, right? I feel we will see it easily within the next 3 to 4 years. You will see a company with a very clear trajectory to becoming a unicorn, and it's more likely, like, Quicksilver is a great story, right? It's not a game developer. It's not a game studio. They're a games middleware company for high-end AAA games. And since their amount is disclosed, for all we know, maybe there already is a unicorn.
No, thank you so much for sharing, Ali. Same question to KZ. KZ, आपको क्या लगता है? When can we see a unicorn emerging? Inka timeline is 3 to 4 years, right? Maybe we come back and we see, or we try to find out from Quicksilver.
Samar, agar mere ख्याल में the biggest potential for a unicorn, a true unicorn, $1 billion company in Pakistan, probably is in the gaming industry, because there are close to 3 billion people connected to the internet that play games. So it's a very large market. It has a very equalizing, equal playing field, equal footing पे सबको डालते हैं game publishers वगैरह को. और अगर आप resources acquire करते जाएं, if you have good decent economics, you can build a very successful company like Epic Games that Ali alluded to. The game makes north of, I don't know, $3-4 billion. शायद मुनाफे में करती होगी सालाना. It's that big. And just for comparison, अगर आप मेरे ख्याल में पाकिस्तान की तमाम इंडस्ट्री 550-600 कंपनी जो स्टॉक एक्सचेंज के ऊपर लिस्टेड है, अगर आप उनका टोटल मुनाफा देखें साल का, तो मेरे ख्याल में $5-6 अरब से ज़्यादा नहीं होगा. In fact, I'm probably overestimating. So imagine the entire industry of Pakistan, the biggest companies that are stock exchange listed on one side, and a single gaming company that makes about the same profit as an entire industry in Pakistan. So just look at the potential, the impact. Or Epic Games could be a company that's based in Faisalabad, right? Yeah. It has no inherent advantage of being based out of whatever it is that it's based out of, right? Lots of gaming companies or games that you play will be based in places that you never heard of before. Estonia के अंदर से बड़ी successful gaming companies निकली हैं, for example. So अगर किसी की opportunity है a true unicorn बनने की, so I strongly believe gaming, mobile, internet इनके intersection के ऊपर, that's probably the lowest hanging fruit. I hope it's one of our investments, obviously, but there are very good companies out there that are making good strides in this space.
Okay, so it's 9 o'clock. I think मुझे फराज के अलार्म बजने की आवाज भी आ गई है, ठीक है, कि जल्दी करें, wrap up करें. So I'm going to jump into my final question, which is, what is the key message you would like to leave behind for people entering the industry, for people who are already in the industry but want to raise investment? Just generally, it could even be for general entrepreneurs, right? So who wants to start?
Mine is going to be very, very short, right? I learned this from a mentor of mine, right? There are no shortcuts, right? You sign up for this. Yes, there is probably success down the line, but do not underestimate the amount. जितनी आपको मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी ना, end में आप luck की वजह से नहीं succeed करोगे. You will succeed because of your hard work. So imagine the hardest you ever worked and multiply that by 10 and then extend that over 10 years. That's what it's going to take. That's my piece to add here.
Yes, Farhan.
Well, my I think biggest advice would be to fast forward your learning experience, because if I had met people in my entire career that had 10 to 15 to 20 years of experience, and they could fast forward my learning experience by telling me all of the mistakes that they've made, and if I could work closely with them in order to learn the things I need to do, this can make a magical difference in how much time it takes you to get from point A to point B. So actively seek advice and mentorship from people who have been in the trenches, and that will fundamentally change the way you do things.
Gee, KB.
I totally second what earlier Faraz has said. But I just want to add to that. Don't be an entrepreneur or build a company just because it's cool or because everybody else is doing it around you. Make sure that you're doing it because you're passionate about that space. And no matter what happens, पैसा मिलता है नहीं मिलता, success होती है नहीं होती, आप उसके पीछे डटे रहेंगे, right? So your first instinct shouldn't be कि okay मैंने company बनानी है, let's go out and raise money. It should be कि ये मैंने करना ही करना है no matter what, and I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna find the people that I need. I'm gonna refine the business model to where it's scalable and investable, and then I am going to go out and find investors and convince them to invest in my opportunity. So failure should not be an option, and you can only do that for companies or for activities that you're deeply passionate about. If you're doing it just because your class fellow is doing it and launching a company, or just because you want a CEO title to and carry a fancy looking business card, don't get into entrepreneurship. It's not easy, it's not sexy at all, it's very hard work. There are lots of you know uh, nights and days and blood and sweat that goes into building a company. Ups bhi hote hain, downs bhi hote hain. Faraz and I can sit here and speak for 2 hours of our moments, the board moments that we have had about what to do and how to do it, and targets and KPIs and things like that. The opportunities where you'll run out of money and you won't have you'll have to convince people to work for you without money, and you can only do that if you're deeply passionate about something. And if that is not the case, work somewhere, get some experience, build some network, connect with some mentors, think more about the ideas and discover yourself and your passions, and then come back after 2, 3, 4, 5 years and start a company.
Well, thank you, Khurram. That's excellent advice. And I think we see that again and again with a lot of young people who are very excited and they see the glamour and the hype in entrepreneurship, but they don't realize how much sweat and blood goes into it literally. और कितनी सारी वाकई में रातें जाग के गुजारनी पड़ती हैं, right? And it has to be the other piece. I mean, something that I would just like to add to that, right? In my case, it was this thing that would keep me awake at night, right? When I used to be at Karandas was a pretty fantastic place to be at, but it was just keeping me up at night again and again. That okay, I want to work for social enterprises and women-led businesses and whatever that may be. There, but you have to find that that burning question or that thing that keeps you up at night, and all you can think about is that, right? And if then just experiment. And kabhi na kabhi to success milega. Lekin ek jo final question hai na, for kabhi people also ask this, right? So when do you know that it's time to pack up and change and shift gears, right? How do you determine that? Never. Ali says never. No, sometimes you have to pivot or you have to change course, right? So yes, you have to persevere sometimes. So when do you know, how do you know that, okay, now acha bas ye pack up ab karna chahiye and we should, move in another direction?
That's a very good question. But somewhere before I answer that question, मुझे I don't know original quote किसका है, लेकिन डॉक्टर अमजद साकिब ने एक तकरीर कर रहे थे किसी जगह, उन्होंने बड़ी खूबसूरत बात की कि ख्वाब वो नहीं होते जो आप सोते में देखते हैं, ख्वाब वो होते हैं जो आपको सोने नहीं देते. So entrepreneurship is like that, right? Your dreams and passions, they don't let you sleep, and you have to. They are the ones that are driving you forward. To answer your question, look, it's a very difficult question to answer, and the best way is to be self-aware, and not just self-aware, but also be aware of your market dynamics. I think the only way you would want to give up is when your fundamental thesis is no longer valid, right? And the only way to assess that, because sometimes you get blind to the market realities, right? If the market has moved from underneath you, let's say आप किसी लिथियम आयन बैटरी टेक्नोलॉजी के ऊपर काम कर रहे हैं और आपकी टेक्नोलॉजी अब मूव हो गई है, there's a much cheaper technology that's out there, fundamental chemistry change हो गई है बैटरी cells की, so you want to get on whatever you're working on. So your fundamental market shifts के thesis में, so that's certainly one one point in time where you should reconsider continuing that business or not. और ये assess करना इतना आसान नहीं होता. उसमें सबसे useful चीज़ है जो फराज ने कही थी, you need to have a network of good mentors and advisors around you that maybe ideally not have a vested interest in your company space, are knowledgeable about the market in which you're operating and can guide you and tell you कि ये तुम सही कर रहे हो या गलत कर रहे हो. But you know, you still have to give it all you've got. You have sometimes advisors and mentors get it wrong. It has happened. There's plenty of examples of that in the world, from the most savvy of investors have written about it in their books where they made a wrong call. But it's one of those rare entrepreneurial traits and skills which is a very strong gut, and it has to be informed. It can't just be blind to the market realities around you. It has to be informed. And as long as your gut as an entrepreneur is telling you to keep going on, you keep going on. But make sure your gut is always informed. It is aware of market realities. It is aware of competitive realities. And it is aware of what your customers are looking for and needing. And more importantly, what the market is going to look like in the future. Is it a growing, expanding market, or is it a shrinking market? And as long as you keep informing all of that to your gut, it'll guide you, if you're a good, solid entrepreneur.
Okay, thank you, Casey. I know that's answered a lot of entrepreneurs who sometimes get stuck and they just don't know what to do. So thank you very, very much. Faraz, Ali, it was a pleasure hosting you guys. Hope to see you guys back, inshallah. We're looking forward to that happy news, Ali, from you and from Faraz, whatever that may be and when that comes out. Okay? So we're tracking you now. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you for having us, Summer. Really enjoyed it. And any happy news for Faraz is going to be happy news for us also.
Absolutely. Bring in the money, Faraz. Let Casey
we wish happy news for everybody. For everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Summer. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ji. It was an honor to be here. Okay, Ji.
Bye.
Okay, thank you so very much. Ali Maskatia, who's been watching from USA. Hasnain, you had a few questions. I think you joined the discussion a little bit late. वो शुरू में Casey ने सारे questions आपके answer किए थे कि कौन से particular games में investors interested हैं नहीं है. So there were a lot of questions that were answered already. Very quickly, I do want to mention to everybody कि 20th, which is on Saturday, a few days from now, 2 days from now, we're having our executive betak. This time it's about the new normal for travel influencers, and I will not be moderating it, so maybe that is the reason you want to watch it. We've got a fantastic moderator called Manal, who will be joining us from Germany, and it's a pretty international, and we also have some Pakistani travel influencers, so do join in. The other thing that I want to highlight is हमारा जो एक और gaming का session होगा वो next Thursday को 25th of June को होगा, same time 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. in the evening. That is going to be about the impact of gaming industry and economic growth. थोड़ी बहुत बातें आज हमने की थी, and we're going to explore that a little bit more on the 25th. So thank you very, very much. I am very happy that you guys keep, coming back and watching these sessions. Thank you. Okay, Khudafis.